this is the thing that's the most like mind-boggling, is that it all happened so quickly.
Yeah.
You and I were doing the post-game show for the LSU Auburn game in 2016, last week of September 2016. We get a text message before the game, like as the game ends, before we go on air, that says, just talk about the game. So that's all we did. We didn't talk about any of the other big picture stuff. And then the next morning, I'm getting phone calls about, a coaching change, this, that, and the other. And during the time when Coach O was on with us on the Tuesday mornings, he and I went to lunch one day, and he says, hey, when I get a head coaching job, I'm going to hire you. And so you know how you always say, well, your buddy says, when I win the Powerball, I'm going to buy you a yacht. He gets a head coaching job, and he calls me and he says, okay, let's go.
Wow.
And to think that he, followed through on that was awesome. Yeah. The other thing that was great was I didn't have to walk in and tell Leanne, hey, Coach O got the UTEP job. He wants to know if we want to move to El Paso. Like, he gets this job here. And to know that from that point in time, and you and I have talked about it before, we never got a chance to wrap up that show. It just kind of ended.
Friday it was, Monday it wasn't.
That's right. And to know that, kind of the path that we took was that, we got the interim job, and, Coach O proved himself. And for me, the greatest blessing that I have in that job is that I work for the right guy. And that every day when I go in there, I get to think about all the time, what are we going to do today for us to win a championship? And yeah, last Monday night, there was a tremendous reward that we won. We won a national championship.
Yeah.
We did it in very convincing fashion. It was not, greatest
resume ever.
No one will ever have any questions on, would they?
Yeah,
nah.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, it literally was as commanding as possible. And I know that I work for the right guy, and that every single day when we go in there into the office, we think about, how can we do it again? And the euphoria that was Monday night was awesome.
I know.
But Tuesday morning when we're walking to the press conference, he and I are talking about the schedule for the week and how we can make sure that we don't miss out on the recruiting.
That's why on like Thursday of last week, when people were starting to kind of like semi-freak out about what was going on with the people leaving and the coaches and how it was going to be replaced and all this stuff, it was like, people, just exhale and understand that the guy running the program loves it more than anybody out there, and it's his only concern to keep it consistent. And everything he's done up to this point, I mean, last week we were talking about it. 365 days ago, I didn't know who Joe Brady was. 365 days ago, I really didn't know who James Craig was. Right, I know for a fact a year and a half ago, I didn't know who Bill Bush was. And he's the guy that went out and brought all these guys in. So I've got no reserve in thinking that he's not going to do it again. So
it would have been a year ago today, the 20th, when the Saints played the Rams in the NFC Championship game.
Oh wow, it's today of the year.
And we it would be tomorrow when Coach O reaches out to the Saints and says, "Hey, would you mind if we interview Joe Brady?"
Wow.
So a year ago, this wasn't something that was a done deal or anything of that sort. It was just the process was starting. So to know that where we are now, and because of the success that we had, there are a lot of people that are very interested in coming to coach for the LSU Tigers.
I imagine so.
A lot of people.
Well, I mean, look, man. So I touched on this a bit last week, right? There are 6 active head coaches right now that have won national championships. 3 won championships here.
Yeah.
So like there is a talent base here, a power base, and if you have the right guy at the top, like, yes, you will have success. And so if I'm a defensive coordinator, why would I not want to come coach the players that LSU recruits to play defense? Like, that's how you make your career. That's how you then go to get something bigger.
What's been more impressive about him in this go round, and one of the things that we don't talk about is that everything he's doing, he said he was going to do on Tuesday mornings. Like when he was doing that year of radio, he laid out what he was going to do at the next program, wherever it was. He was telling you what he was going to do. How many times did he say one team, one heartbeat on Tuesday mornings?
Every time.
Like every Tuesday morning, he would say one team, one heartbeat. That's how he's going to run his program. He didn't know he was talking about LSU. He didn't know if he was talking about UCLA or was it going to be Virginia or Florida State. He just knew wherever he got next, this is how he was going to run it. And he talked about the delegation. And to me, if I'm an assistant coach, whether it's on the offensive, defensive, or special teams unit of a staff, and I'm looking at LSU, the thing that jumps out to me if I'm a coach is that he lets you run his ship. Like he lets you do your job.
Yeah.
And I was going to say ship there. I wasn't going to say he lets you do your ship.
Yeah.
He lets you run your ship. Like he lets you do your job.
Well, and there was a narrative that kind of sprung up in 17 that people were like, oh, he's meddling again.
I was one of the main proponents of that
Meddling
narrative.
again.
I
He
will
wasn't.
say. It was with the no motion thing and then how the Troy game went, and it just
I thought the AD was meddling.
outside looking in, that's what it looks like. That's what it looked like. Obviously, what has transpired since then would point towards that not being the case.
And I don't know if people really truly understood how. I mean, first of all, Coach O is one of the smartest people you will ever be around.
Yeah.
And one of the things that makes him incredibly smart.
I love when people find that out for the first time. It's the best.
It's
the
so
best.
good to be sitting in a room with somebody who's
they're
like,
like,
oh, I'm going to
"Oh
teach
my
this guy something.
God."
And it's like, no, you're not. But the thing that is the most rewarding for me is that he uses his intelligence to hire smart people, which amazes me that I'm around there. And that
Speaking of which, I'm sitting right here. You want to do a little? You want to take me on? I'll be like your right hand man to the right hand man.
assistant to the regional vice president.
Yes, there you go. I could be your Dwight Schrute.
Yeah. Okay. But for us, we've been able to see, and now for the results to be there publicly for everyone to understand just how in good hands this program is. And look, if you're going to lose coaches, you'd much rather lose coaches after you have that dominating season than having to replace guys because they were no good.
Yeah, so that was my point. Like, if your coach gets hired away for a promotion, that's validated. That means that you did the right thing in hiring that person. So this hopefully becomes a cycle, right? You have somebody who's a great coach for a few years, and then they go on. Like, if you're doing that on a constant basis, then you're doing something right.